Well, it's 32 minutes after 8 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Salam Media. And yes, thanks to Zakir Daud holding it down with his sports. Awesome interview with Neil Tovey there. It's now time for the Car Talk segment. And we welcome one and all tonight on the Car Talk segment. Obviously, this is Friday Night Live with me, ST. We welcome one and all. Hoping you had a great week. I know you've all been waiting because obviously the Car Talk's one of my favorite segments. Tonight we're speaking to a car collector and who shares a passion for vintage classic vehicles. And we are going to be speaking to the founder of Club 9, Dirk Molsen. Dirk, good evening and welcome to Salam Media and Friday Night Live.
Good evening, everybody.
Great to have you with us. Thanks for taking the time. Dirk, I must say, I've had a look at, your website, and I was quite intrigued by the diversity. You've got a car collection, you've got a Dapper Coffee enterprise all in one. It creates, a fun environment. First things first, talk to us about your love for cars and car collecting. When did this begin in your life?
Oh, that started when I was a very young boy. I was always obsessed with motor vehicles, and I think when I was 12 or 13, I bought my first car.
Okay.
And it was a fixer-upper, old Beetle.
So did you buy it with your own money, or did Daddy buy it?
Yeah, it was a pocket money car, and
Okay.
it was the equivalent of maybe 500-600 rand today, and really a wreck. And I asked my mother to please take it to one of those self-help workshops. I lived in Germany at the time, and then I booked it into one of those bays, and the guys there were very kind to me. They looked at this lighty and said, "Oh, what are you doing with this rust bucket?" I said, "I'm going to fix it and I'm going to sell it." So they showed me the ropes, and 3-4 months later, the car was actually passed the roadworthy test, and I could sell it for quite a handsome profit. But I spent waking hour.
I say back in the day, obviously, money had value. You're talking about 500, 1,000. Today we're talking about, close to 100, 200,000 just for a basic entry-level vehicle. You know what I'm saying? How times have changed. Now, talk to us about, growing up, obviously, what was your first classic car that you bought or collected?
Well, quite funny. When I was 23, I bought my first Porsche 911.
Okay.
Which was a short-lived love affair. I could only afford it to hold it for 3 weeks because I had to borrow the funds to buy it, and I enjoyed it for a little bit. That was in 1990, and then I basically sold the car, made also, again, a very nice profit. But it was a current model at the time. It was only it was 6 years old. It was an 84 Carrera 3.2 liter, and that was. I never actually liked classic cars. I just got stuck in the 80s. So for me, they're still all very current. I haven't actually aged. So my passion starts in the 80s and stops in the 90s almost. So that's the era that I look at.
You mentioned the 80s, and in the 80s we think about the likes of the Sierras. We think about the likes of many different cars come to the fore. You think of the Golfs. You think about the BMWs. The Mercedes Benz, the 560s, SECs. There's so many different cars. Now that period of time was I'd say a hot hatch race. Between Toyota, Opel with the Cadet, and the like. What was yes, the Boss, the Super Boss, and also Ford had the Escort. And the RS 300, I think it was back in the day. Talk to us about some of your experiences in the 80s and the cars that were being launched those days, and that race, that time where motor companies were actually making cars with value and had a purpose.
Yes, the Golf hatchback started the craze in 1976. You might know that, with the Rabbit, and the GTI came out in 1978, and then it was the first sort of sports car performing hatchback, and that was groundbreaking, front wheel drive, etc. So it took on the old Mercs, at the time. And
Yes.
yeah, we all got roped into that, obviously being, just young and enthusiastic. So my first Golf I bought in 1983. And then I graduated very quickly to a 1.8 liter GTI. And from there, I went down to the Jumbo Golf GTI, which I then, in 1990, exported to South Africa. And it was a left-hand drive two-door, which made me some kind of a world-class hero in Cape Town.
Well, not only Cape Town, I mean, in Joburg, all over the country, the Jumbo, as they call it, the 2020, the Mark II Golf, the 2-liter 16V, that was, and still is, renowned. I mean, you look at the, you look at the likes of the VDUB Fest, etc. You look at the, Park of Shows, etc. And, this comes to, it all comes together. Now, talk to us about some of the other vehicles. I'm talking about Corvettes, V8s. I'm moving the discussion away from 4 cylinders now. Your love for V8s, talk to me about that.
Well, the love for V8s only really manifested itself in my life about 10 years ago. Before that, I was only looking at flat 6 air-cooled engines in the back of a 911. But my passion has now actually moved a little bit on from that, and I really like the V8s of mainly the Mercedes-Benz versions. So it's the age thing, We get a little bit lazier, and we like comfort, and they give you all that, even the 80s and the 90s cars from that era. So
definitely.
The American cars, they are exciting, but they're not my passion. I must be very honest. I think they're beautiful, but we do sell them from time to time, and we really, do a lot of work on them. But the drivability just isn't there for me. I enjoy a little bit more sophistication, because they are very rudimental when it comes to
I think
it's raw performance.
The word you're looking for is a bit more dapper, as they say.
Bit more dapper, But now, I do enjoy them.
Yes.
They're very exciting to drive, but 10 minutes and that's it for me.
Only. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the price of fuel. We're looking at that also, Now, collectible cars and rare models. I'm talking about like some of the Mercedes-Benzes. You think about the 450 SLs and the SECs, the 230s, the 190Es, etc. These vehicles, once upon a time, market price was, maybe 20,000, 30,000. Today, people are paying close to 600,000 rands, depending on the condition. Looking at this, and the demand for these collectible cars and these rare vehicles in South Africa, looking at the prices that some people are selling them for, do you think people are, exaggerating prices, or what makes it so expensive?
Look, I think it's a international market. We're not looking at South Africa. We don't single ourselves out and say that's the price here. We kind of focus on what is actually selling in the world. So you look at the auction prices that are achieved. So they're guideline. They're not to say that we achieve these prices here. They are unique cars often and high end and very low kilometers and very original cars. But people view and watch these kind of trends in the world, and then they look for what's available locally. And I think on the back of that, the car prices have steadily increased in South Africa, and especially the rarer models and the more desirable models. A lot of collectors actually enjoy driving their cars as well. So I would only buy something that I really want to drive on a Sunday. And I do that every weekend. I drive something else. I'm very fortunate in that regard. But
definitely. I mean, I've been looking at the collection. I mean, like, wow. I must say it's fantastic. Now, take us through your collection of vehicles, and I want to talk about some of the exhibits that Club 9 hosts. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, look, it started with the 911s. I started my business in 2015. It was my private collection that actually went on sale through my business, and I had I think 8 or 9 911s, all variations. Then sold very well. I did handsomely well out of the sale. And once I've sold them, then I've reacquired other models like Mercedes Benzes, which I also liked at the time, but I never actually got around to buying because there was always another Porsche to buy. And the demand actually increased around those vehicles at the time because the Porsches became stratospheric in price all of a sudden. So you could see 30-40% per annum increase in values with the 911, especially the air-cooled models. And people were looking for other options that are more affordable. And the segment up to sort of 350, 400,000, that is a very buoyant and very interesting market segment, which we found through the years that is our bread and butter business. And a lot of enthusiasts can afford it, and it's become more or less a focus in our business now. And the Porsches, as you know, they've galloped away. They're basically starting from $500,000 upwards, which not everybody can afford and want to afford. Personally,
well, I mean, this makes a point. You need to know your pocket. As many people say, you might share the passion, but you need to know what you can afford. It's all about that.
Look, I always afford as much as I can. I never have money. I can buy milk, and that's it, because I just bought another car. And that's been the story of my life. Ask my wife; she will second that. And it is not only me. I think car collectors suffer from the same disease, and I've met a lot of like-minded people, and we all know we're not well in the head, but we can't help. Petrol runs through the veins.
I don't want to comment too much because the ladies are going to start commenting when I get home. I know what I'm going to expect. But now I want to talk about some of the services that Club 9 offers, Dirk. I see obviously you offer valet services, vehicle storage. Talk to us about some of the detailing as well.
Well, the detailing, we've started originally when we started the business, we had probably the top detailer in the country as a partner in our business. But we quickly realized that our target market for the classic cars and the target market for the detailing business were two different ones. And we kind of stepped a little bit on each other's toes with the space. The space was limited, and we've a good detail on a Ferrari that's 2 weeks old will take 3-4 days. And we couldn't wash or detail new stock that was coming in because the wash was permanently occupied with ceramic coating, etc. I mean, it was very, very exciting, the supercars that we had through the business, but we quickly then downscaled a little bit from the detailing. I find that the meticulous detailing is more reserved for modern cars. The concourse cars, classic cars, they get sort of, for each concourse, they get prepped and detailed. But I don't think that the normal average classic car collector is a detail fanatic per se. I think we want our clean and nice and well preserved, but we don't necessarily need ceramic coating and take the wheels off and polish the hubcaps.
Since we're discussing vehicle detailing, we've seen over the last maybe 4 or 5 years a increase in the amount of offerings that car washers offer now in detailing centers, for, as you mentioned, more modern vehicles, but you do find some classic cars as well being detailed. Detailing in South Africa, do you see the whole concept of detailing as a business is a very saturated market? And do you think that obviously the materials being used, what are some of the importance, when it comes to the, soap, the compounds they use for the detailing?
It is very important that the best products are used on the cars and the paint. That goes for classic as well as modern cars. So the detailer has to know his business very well, because there's a lot of room for error when you detail a vehicle, and you quickly actually destroy the paint. So especially with the old classic car that's original paint, you have to be super careful not to go through the polish through the paint when trying to resurrect the car. It is a very highly skilled undertaking, so I would really suggest that one does their homework before one actually chooses a detailer, and I would not necessarily recommend a rubber polish, or clay polish at your local car wash in half an hour. That's not gonna do the trick.
Wash and go, as they say.
Yeah, wash and go is fine, but leave it at that, and then rather seek the professionals to do the rest.
Now, Dirk, I want to talk about some of the vehicle listings. I'm talking about the Alfa Romeo GTV, the likes of your Beetles, the likes of obviously Porsches, as you mentioned, and I can tell you a love for Porsche. What is the most expensive car in your collection?
At the moment?
Yeah.
I think, let's just think. I don't really like the very, very high-end priced cars. I like cars under 1 million rand, so it's very rare that we actually exceed that figure. That is because I just enjoy cars that can be used. I think from $1 million plus on a classic car, you kind of have to preserve it more and look after it more than it's enjoyable to use. So it's a bit of a scary undertaking to take a car like that on the road. Things go wrong, and they go wrong all the time. So I think basically at the moment we've got I think it stops at 1 million right now. We had a Range Rover SVR, which is a modern car, that just went for 1.1. That's sort of the top end. We sold a air-cooled Porsche last month for 1.35. So that was a very high price for us. But our average cars, they go from 250, I would say, to approximately 800. That's sort of, the ballpark we like to maneuver in, and that's where we see also a lot of buy-in from the public.
Now, I also understand that Club 9 obviously intends to host local art exhibitions and your evening events. Talk to us about some of this.
Well, we've done that. I don't know how familiar your audience is with Cape Town. We've had since, we were the, what you want to call it? We had this art gallery walk. It was called First Thursday from when we were the design capital of the world in 2014. And it started, I think, in 2013. And every First Thursday, corporates were invited to go to the local downtown art galleries. They would open their doors every First Thursday of the month and have wine and snacks on hand to exhibit their art. That carries on until today. After 2014, when the event was over, the public actually wanted to carry on because it became sort of a party. And Bree Street, where we were situated, was the ideal location for this event. We actually ended up becoming a nightclub almost in 2016, 2017, which had nothing in the end to do with the cars. We did host a few nice art exhibitions in our space because the space was just, perfect for it. Sorry. But we've stopped it because it became logistically a big event for us. We lost 1 week's trading almost in the restaurant as well as the showroom floor. And often people would come down from Joburg hoping to see nice cars, and all they saw was DJ booths and and bars and counters, and a lot of activity. So in the end, we basically distanced ourselves about 2 years ago from the event and didn't partake anymore.
Well, that creates an awesome, atmosphere and an environment, vibrance, when it comes to these type of events and, people's love for cars. The city of Cape Town, obviously, the mother city, we know, obviously, a beautiful place. Do you see other car collection, or car collectors, dealerships or, showrooms, etc., keeping up to a certain level? What would be, your opinion of others in and around the country?
think especially in Cape Town, we are very spoiled with very high and nice classic car showrooms. I don't really go to any other showrooms because I'm not actually interested in modern cars. But if you look at Crosley and Webb, if you look at Lauder, at Club 9, we are a very nice environment. All of these places are fantastic, and they have outstanding quality stock on hand. The Western Cape is a hub for beautiful classic car collections, and that shows in those facilities. In Johannesburg, you get more of a mixed bag. A lot more offerings, but I think the quality also deteriorates.
The condition, basically.
It kind of dilutes a little bit, yeah. So a lot of dealers there have interesting stock, but you never know what you're going to buy. So I think you can't trust it as much as in Cape Town. The top end classic dealers here, they're very renowned, and the quality is high. The archive, I didn't mention, that is like another level as well. Okay. So we have a few in a radius of probably 3 kilometers. So it's really around the CBD.
Awesome, man. Well, Dirk, you know what? I know definitely next time I'm coming to Cape Town, I'm coming to Bree Street to pay you guys a visit. Definitely looking at the website and looking at some of the collection in the cars that you have there. Dirk, thanks so much for your time tonight on the Car Talk. It's been great having you here, man. Awesome stuff. Have an awesome weekend, and until we chat again, take care.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Well, that was Dirk Molsen, car enthusiast, classic car collector, and founder of Club 9. I must say, guys, go on to club9.coza and look at the cars that they have there. Man, I'm telling you, if you love the Alfa Romeo GTV, for all of you BMW lovers, Mercedes-Benz, Bentleys, Jeep, Corvette, Jaguar, man, the list goes on. It's been awesome. Well, that brings us now to 5 minutes to 9 p.m. Wow, where the time goes by when you're having fun. And so that's a wrap of the program tonight. Dr. Daud had the sports segment covered, and we all also had a fantastic chat with Dirk regarding the love for vintage and classic cars. From Mr. Faraz and the rest of the Friday Night Live team, we'll be back inshallah next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.